What's up, cinephiles? My name is TJ and welcome to Cinemateq. It's time for your weekly news wrap-up. Now, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently this time around. Going to be looking at more stories, but a little bit more condensed and broken up into some nice sections. So we're going to start off with the news, then we're going to hit some festival news, then we're going to take a look at a couple of movies that I want to have in my eyeballs right now, and then we're going to end it off with some nice stories, some surfing squirrel type stories that you see on your local news. Your local news is trash, don't watch it. So let's get right into that industry news. And first up, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has announced who's going to be getting honorary Oscar awards at the Governor's Awards this coming October. David Lynch, Wes Studi, and Lana Wertmüller will all be receiving honorary Oscars, and Gena Davis will be receiving the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award. The awards will be presented at the 11th Annual Governor's Awards, to be held on October 27th, 2019. But what actually qualifies someone to win one of the awards? To quote John Bailey, president of the Academy, "These Governor's Awards recognize individuals who have devoted themselves to a lifetime of artistic accomplishment and brought outstanding contributions to our industry and beyond," which is really just a nice way of saying, hey, we probably should have given you guys Oscars previously, but this award ceremony is entirely politics. You're way too good to not have an Oscar, so here you go. Personally, I'm very excited that David Lynch will finally have an Academy Award after being nominated 4 times and losing all 4 times, which is bullshit. And I'm also quite excited that we can all now refer to the 1994 film Street Fighter as that one movie that features Academy Award winner Wes Studi. It's a great time to be alive. Congratulations to all 4 of the recipients. You are more than deserving. Moving on, Barry Jenkins has been tapped by Fox Searchlight to helm a still untitled film based on the life of acclaimed choreographer Alvin Ailey. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering his name, but if you haven't heard of Ailey, he's considered to be one of the most influential choreographers of the 20th century. There is no word yet on when the film will be released, but given the prestige of everyone involved, which is at this point only Barry Jenkins and Fox Searchlight, I think we can expect a release sometime in the fall of 2020, and then the film will go on an awards run leading into early 2021, culminating with the Oscars. And now we move on to a story that will touch the hearts of everyone who wants to watch more movies but doesn't have any money. The Korean Film Archive has apparently been uploading feature-length films for the last 7 years, and people just started to notice. IndieWire and The Guardian both published articles talking about the Korean Film Archive and all of the work they have been doing to make Korean films more accessible to a worldwide audience. The big push on this front has been releasing about 200 Korean feature-length films to YouTube that you can just watch for free right now. And the best part is, some of these are recent digital restorations, so they look really, really good. Now I know what you're thinking, but TJ, I don't speak Korean, and YouTube auto-generated captions are pretty bad. Well, you're in luck, because every film that I was able to check out had English subtitles, and a few of them even had French and Chinese subtitles. Now, I would love to be able to give you recommendations for which films to watch on this channel. Unfortunately, my own knowledge of Korean cinema doesn't go much beyond Bong Joon-ho and Park Chan-wook, and so I can't really give you recommendations. But in the article, they list a few of them. So make sure you check out the article in the description below and let us know if you end up watching any of them and what you think of them. All right, we're done with the industry news. Let's get on to the Film Fest news, starting off with Fantasia Fest. They have announced the first wave of films that are going to be screened at this year's festival. Highlights from the announcement include Malik Bader's Killerman, which stars Liam Hemsworth and Emery Cohen, the first Critters film since 1992's Critters 4, and a new restoration of Brian De Palma's Phantom of the Paradise. Other films announced for the fest include The Gangster, the Cop, and the Devil, which just had its nice premiere, Little Monsters, a zombie comedy featuring Lupita Nyong'o, Satanic Panic, a horror comedy directed by Chelsea Stardust, and Astronaut, a heartwarming sci-fi film featuring Richard Dreyfuss. So this next film festival news kind of morphs into film industry news. We're just going to treat it like a 2-parter because it seems like it was part 1 and part 2 of a series, but not really, and we're going to talk about that. So on June 4th, Rebecca Davis, contributor at Variety, reported that no films from the United States were going to be featured at the Shanghai Film Festival this year. This is a little strange because over the last 3 years, about 10 films have screened there. So for there to suddenly be 0 is a little alarming. In the opening paragraph of the article, Davis implies that the ongoing trade war between the United States and China could be a reason why this is happening, although she doesn't out and out say it. Why? because the big right-hand punch was coming the next day. On June 5th, Davis and Patrick Frater published an article to Variety detailing, and I quote, that China had started putting the brakes on the entry of some US content in an apparent retaliation against Washington's escalation of its trade war with Beijing, citing multiple sources. Now, if you want more detail on this, you're gonna have to read the article because Davis and Frater go into the weeds on this a lot. But the thing that we need to take away from this is that this could potentially be a huge economic hit to Hollywood studios. For a good example, all you have to do is look at Godzilla King of Monsters, which debuted this past weekend. Domestically, the film earned $47 million. In China, it earned $66 million. This is not a new thing. Hollywood studios have been relying on box office revenue from China for a while now. As perhaps the biggest example of how this could affect the bottom line of studios going forward, just look at Avengers Endgame. It has made almost $3 billion internationally, and over $600 million of that gross has come from China. That's $600 million that Disney just wouldn't have if Endgame couldn't be released there. What the hell is Disney gonna do without that $600 million? They will be broke. Now, in the article, they do point out that some films are still getting released. Speaking of Marvel and Disney, Spider-Man
Far From Home
will still be released in China. But it will be interesting to see going forward how many films from major Hollywood studios will be released in China. This is a story that we're gonna keep an eye on, and if there's any interesting updates, we will let you know. So now we get into the put it straight into my eyes category. In this section, I just want to highlight a couple of films that I've either heard about or seen trailers for that look fantastic and I absolutely need to see. The first one, Ad Astra, the new film from James Gray featuring Brad Pitt. Now I know what you're thinking, TJ, you built out this channel so you didn't have to talk about Hollywood bullshit. So what are you doing talking about a Hollywood sci-fi film? And to that I say to you, how dare you say that about a James Gray film? The man has been nominated for 4 Palme d'Ors at Cannes. Nice. And We Own the Night has one of the best chase scenes of all time in it. I cannot wait to see what he and Brad Pitt can do with this seemingly original, cool as hell looking sci-fi property. I cannot be more excited to see it. I'm hopefully showing B-roll right now so you can see some of the images from the trailer over top of what I'm saying. It looks so goddamn good. I can't even wait. I need to see it right now. The next film that I want to talk about comes from Gyorgy Kristof, apologies if I mispronounced that, who is going to be directing a dystopian sci-fi film with a twist that I bet you're not going to see coming. Kristof's first film, 2017's Out, had the distinction of premiering at the Un Certain Regard section of the Cannes nice festival in 2017. Rob, you love this joke. His new film will be called Bunker and follows a character named Seven, who begins the film incarcerated. Seven then escapes thanks to the aid of a mystical creature, and once on the outside, he must lead a group of people to freedom. If that sounds like Dune to you, it's only half Dune, don't get ahead of yourselves. Now you might remember that I said that there was going to be a little bit of a twist to this dystopian sci-fi film.
I sure did.
Thanks, Emily.
Anytime, TJ.
This twist is actually right up your alley. I'm excited for you to hear about it for the first time.
Yes.
The film will have no dialogue at all, and the characters will communicate with each other through the art of dance.
Yes! I want to see this.
Obviously, at least 2 people in this room are excited to see this film. Rob just laughed, so I assume that's a maybe. No word yet as to when this film will be released. I can only imagine a film like this is going to take a hell of a lot of pre-production and a hell of a lot of planning. So who knows when we will actually end up seeing it. Hopefully, as soon as possible. And now we're gonna finish things off with a couple of those surfing squirrel type stories, things that just make you feel good on the inside. Starting off with the Capitol Theatre in Melbourne, Australia. It just finished a 5-year, $18 million renovation. It's one of the architectural jewels of Melbourne. It was built in 1924 and is actually one of the first examples of Art Deco architecture that exists in the world. It fell into some disrepair and was remodeled a lot in the 60s and 70s, but now with this renovation, it's been restored to its previous glory. I'm sure I've been putting photos of the theater up over me talking, and it's stunning. It's one of the most beautiful theaters that I've ever seen. Now you'll notice, looking at this photo, that there's a lot of blue stuff going on the ceiling of the theater. That is actually 4,000 color lamps that have been placed within the geometric shapes that have been created on the ceiling. I assume that they turn those off when there's a movie playing, but there's only one way to find out. I'm gonna go to Australia, because I have to go to this theater. Based on all the information that I had access to, It looks like the theater will be opening to the public on June 20th with a screening of Carlos Regatta's Our Time. After that, from June 21st for about a week afterwards, they will be screening a selection of Agnes Varda films. So if you needed a reason to go to this theater outside of the beautiful architecture, now you've got one. And now for the final story that'll put a smile on your face. The BFI just posted to YouTube a restoration of the very first footage of a solar eclipse ever recorded. The footage was recorded in the year 1900 by Neville Miskellane and has been scanned and restored at 4K. Unfortunately, the version on YouTube is only 720p. I assume if you want to see the full 4K version, you'll have to go to the BFI's player to... So if you want to see the... So I assume if you...
Rob's laughing at you.
Rob is a bastard, so that's fine.
I'm not paying attention.
Oh, you're not paying it? You're the cinematographer. What are you not paying attention to?
There's some funny photos on Twitter.
Oh. Stop the f***ing presses. There's funny pictures on Twitter.
I'm sorry, you were talking about a solar eclipse from 120 years ago?
Only watch on the BFI, Rob.
BFI player.
The BFI player, Rob.
In 4K, maybe.
In 4K, maybe, Rob.
Oh, you didn't even check. This is a very important story, but you didn't even bother to
Okay.
see what resolution.
The BFI player is geolocked to the UK. We're in Canada. I can't go and watch it.
So-
This segment is for people who want to check out the YouTube video.
To see if the footage from 1900 is in 3840 by...
No, I already said it's in 720p.
Ah, okay.
Rob, this
I wasn't
segment
paying
is for
attention.
cinephiles. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily. Someone gets what this channel's about. I probably don't even need to do the rest of the story. I can just use that. And that brings us to the end of this weekly news wrap-up. Do you have any opinions on the articles that we talked about today? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a like. And if you want to see more of this content, please subscribe to Cinemateq by clicking that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, or else Satan will come for you in your sleep.